This is a tutorial on the lease listing agreement, C.A.R Form LL, and this is actually bundled with a disclosure. I'll scroll down here so you can see there's a disclosure added on, and it makes it long. I think this bundle is 12 pages, but we're going to get through it very easily. We're going to start by putting the date that we draft this form up here in the top left, the name of the owner. Now, typically you'll see the word landlord or lessor used, but they've added this rental property owner or RPO acronym, as if we need another acronym in our industry. But if you see RPO anywhere in this form, it's just saying the owner, the lessor, the landlord. Why they had to create a new term or not even just say owner and then have to do an acronym as opposed to just writing lessor, very short word, is beyond me. But whatever, that's what we're working with here. So I'll continue on. We put the name of the broker here, beginning date of the lease listing marketing period, and then the ending date. Now, if you don't have both these dates, your client can void this document. It becomes effectively unenforceable. So you have to make sure you have a start and end date to your listing marketing period, the listing period. The county of the property, the city of the property, the address, that's pretty straightforward, right? What is the rent amount that you're starting with? Just like in a listing agreement for a sale. Well, we're putting this dollars per month. So you can write in the amount here. It'll automatically create the text version. And then I just put per month because that's how it's done almost all the time. Security deposit, I just put 1 month rent. You can put in a flat fee or whatever you want there. Type of tenancy, month to month, 1 year. You know, you can also check this box and write to be determined because perhaps your client's open to different terms. You don't have to be bound to one simple type of tenancy. Items included in lease and rental. Now, is there anything that isn't affixed to the property, namely personal property, that is going to be included? If it is, and you write picnic table and backyard or something, you can write that there. And that is going to help when you are marketing the property so you have accurate information in the listing. So that if someone sees that there's something nice in a backyard that they want to use when they rent the property, you need to make sure in writing here that that personal property is going to be part of what the tenant gets to use. And then what's not going to be maintained, okay? So this is a part of a conversation you should have with your client about what the tenant is going to have use and access of. And then again, excluded. Now, and of course, this can be left blank, but we're talking about just gathering the most accurate information possible so that if there's something that looks like the RPO might take out of the property that the tenant would want to use, you need to know that so you can properly market this and talk to the tenant's agent and put the right information in the MLS. It's that simple. This is here to help you. And then garage, carport, they put this in here probably because there's lots of scenarios in which the RPO doesn't include the garage or carport because they may store their own personal property there. Either way, if something that should be part of the rental isn't, put it here. Additional terms, anything out of the ordinary, go ahead and write it here. This is just free space for that. All right, common question is, how much do agents charge their clients to do a lease? The answer is, it's really similar to a sale. It's just calculated based on the amount of rent collected. Now, shame on me, when I created this sample for the sake of this tutorial, I didn't check this box here. But typically, someone will check a box, they'll write 5%, and I don't like how this is. This right here refers back to whatever the lease term is, but we don't want to be bound to that. Unless your client says, hey, agent, I will only pay you commission on 1 year, okay, fine, check 1 year, leave this as it is, and you can put 5%. And that just means that you're charging 5% of this number times 12. So all the rental dollars collected, you're charging 5% of that. But filling this form out myself this morning, I just checked this box and I wrote entire lease term because that's what I would do if I was going to an appointment this afternoon. Now, if there's additional compensation, you write it here. But just remember, most agents charge a percentage. Check the box, charge a percentage, and then decide how much you want to share with the buyer's agent. We'll get to that, the tenant's agent. We'll get to that in a little bit. Now, if it's a flat fee, which is actually fairly common, you can write it here. Just check this box and write a flat fee, and you don't have to do a percentage. Now, they have this separate thing if it's a month-to-month rental. Okay, fine. If it's a month-to-month rental, just go ahead and the same idea here, right down there. Now, we can just go through this sea of verbiage here. And this line right here, I would write in 30 days. And to summarize, without reading this, it just means that if someone, a prospective tenant, entered the premises while you were marketing the property, but then your lease listing expires, well, you're protected in case that person decides the week after your listing expires, they decide to become the tenant, well, you're protected, and this agreement will extend so that you get paid. That's what that is. So this is your post-expiration protection. So if you can write 90 days in there, go for it, but 30 is fine. All right, this is an interesting section. Now I checked this box. By the way, so RPO agrees to pay. Remember, RPO, rental property owner, agrees to pay. This is a space filler, but if you need to, use it for whatever you want. Compensation on subsequent sale to tenant. What happens if someday the tenant that your services procured happens to buy the property? Should you be paid for it? Well, if you think you should, check this box and write this in here. And if your client says, what's this all about? It says, hey, if that tenant someday decides to buy, I'm going to represent you. Maybe your client will be okay with that, maybe not, but it's worth a shot, right? Okay, owner is going to initial. We move on. Now we're talking about what we're going to offer the tenant's agent. I wonder if there's an acronym. I should check the other forms, see if they made up some acronym for the tenant's agent. Or tenant. So you're going to see this right here is going to be based off of how much you're charging up here. So I put 5%, just like you would with a normal sale listing, 2.5% of total rent payments due under the lease, okay? Or a flat fee, which again is much more common with leases. So you just put $500 or $800 or whatever you want. That's what you're going to offer the tenant's agent in the MLS. Month to month, they basically say fixed term lease here, month to month there. I wouldn't get too hung up on this because so you're billing your client for your services regarding their lease. But part of this is based on an unknown variable. That unknown variable is, well, what will the lease say? Will it be 6 months? Will it be 6 years? It can be anything, right? So as long as you have general terms of what you bill your client for procuring a lease for their property, you'll be fine. So don't get too hung up on, oh my gosh, is it month to month? I don't know yet. We haven't even found a tenant. Just do the best you can. Fill them both out if you're concerned. But even how I have it here, this is exactly what I would bring to an appointment if I was going out today. All right, and this is just standard verbiage. Look, RPO warrants that RPO has no obligation to pay compensation, meaning, hey, does the owner have any outstanding agreements with their last listing broker? So just boilerplate verbiage, lots of it here. Okay, tenant payments. First month's rent. I don't like how they put to broker here, because unless you're a broker management company, don't even get near it. This is too close for comfort, in my opinion. It's real simple. You need rent at execution. Some do it upon possession when it's due. I say at execution of the document. Okay, you're doing a lease. Well, we need a security deposit. We need the first month rent. That's what you deliver to your client along with the executed paperwork. So I just checked these boxes here. Now, you don't want a tenant to write the check to the broker. When you, as an agent, collect a check, you tell the tenant's agent or the tenant directly, no, make it payable to my client, and you give them your client's name. And then your client is who cuts a check to your broker, because a listing agreement is an invoice. It's many things. Among the many things, this is representation and authorization to market their property, someone else's property on their behalf. This is a bill, and you're saying this is how much I'm charging you for my services. And if it's a sale, you deliver it to escrow. Escrow is a cashier. In this case, there's no escrow. So what do? You just say, hey, this is how much you owe me. And you tell them, you give them the number. Once you find out if it's $5,000 a month for a year, $60,000. Okay, so how much do you bill them? Well, 5% of $60,000. And then you go and say, this is how much you owe my brokerage. And then the landlord cuts you a check. Excuse me, the RPO cuts you a check. And that's how it works. But before that, when you have the document executed, you collect this money, ideally in the form of either it's transferred directly to your client, or it's a cashier's check delivered to your client. So I just put at execution because I think that's when it should be done. I don't like this two-broker stuff. It's too close for comfort. A broker does not want to take possession of money. That's how you get in big trouble. Now, in a perfect world, this form by default would give you, the professional, authorization to have your lockbox and sign installed on premises. But you have to check the box for authorization. Okay, so we check the box and we move on. Now, by default, it does say that it goes into the MLS. You have to check a box if it's not. More boilerplate verbiage. Here's something, by the way. So this, just ignore it. You'll know if you'll need to refer to this information, but we're trying to do this without spending all day here, and it's really pointless. Scroll through. I will point out that this whole thing, this withholding and reporting, okay, leave this for property management companies. So if RPO is, okay, so basically there's a withholding requirement for the Franchise Tax Board and the IRS. Do you want to do that? Are you their tax professional? Are you their property manager? Unless you are, who wants this headache? One of many reasons why the broker doesn't take possession of any money, okay? The tenant pays the owner. That's it. All right. This just outlines what the duties are of a professional. So if there's ever a dispute, that's when people return to this verbiage and then look very closely about what the implications are here if there's a dispute. Okay. Now it says by default here that the termination of agency relationship ends when the parties have entered into a lease agreement. And you can check these other things. You don't need to. I left them blank. You can just scroll through this whole thing. There we go. And then that's it. Page 3 of 4, we'll scroll through the whole thing. You don't need to do anything. But I will say, let me scroll for 1 second just to make a point here. Let's see. Oh, page 2 of 4. Hey, once you pass the tenant's payments, you can just scroll through all this too, by the way. But when it speaks about the termination of the agency, I want to just say that, yes, the agency relationship does end when there's an executed lease agreement. It also ends when escrow closes on a sale. And agents do this thing where they get involved with stuff and they're basically acting as a rogue attorney, illegitimate attorney, when they're representing someone after the sale of a property or after this has been leased. You are not the go-between. Once it's done and everything's executed, your job's finished. Anything you do beyond that, you're just helping someone out, but not at a professional capacity. Your professional capacity ends. This is a legal definition. I mean, so you can avoid trouble by just realizing that that's when your job as an agent ends. Dispute resolution, mediation. See how much we're scrolling through? There's just so much text, and it just, so here's 3 of 4. So we scroll through almost all of 2 of 4, all of 3 of 4, and now we're down here to the very end. Page 4 of 4. Isn't that funny that the lease listing itself is 4 pages, but this document's 12 pages? There's absolutely no incentive for them to try to simplify this stuff. Okay. Is it an entity? Is the RPO a LLC or a corporation? If it is, check this box. You'll need to do an RCSD form, CAR form RCSD. If it's not, if it's just Lenny Landlord, then you'll go ahead and you'll just have Lenny sign. And Lenny will put his information. and you'll put yours, and you're going to sign right here. And that's it. The lease listing's done. I mean, if you only had these 4 pages, that's all you need. That's all you need. But that's not all that's there. We have the rental property owner disclosure. All right. In the defense of this form, it's good. It's good to disclose. You want to disclose as much as possible. So I think that this is a good form. I can't stand the RPO thing, as you can tell, but I mean, even that, it's so cumbersome. Are you RPO? Hey, just so you're aware, because we've confused you with the way we've written this. So it just basically asks all these questions. Now, this is going to be a little overwhelming for your RPO. So they are going to probably ask you, well, I don't know. I think maybe, I don't know, could it have? And you say, no, are you aware of? Are you aware of? They're not asking you if in a vacuum. They're not asking if you're this all-seeing being that knows if there was ever mold inside a wall in your home. They're asking, are you aware of? Yes or no. If you're not aware of, then it's always no. It's that simple. If you're not aware of it, it's always no. That's how disclosures work. You only get in trouble if you misrepresent or conceal or withhold material information. And this is simple. These are yes or no questions. Your RPO can probably get this done in a matter of minutes. And then they're going to sign here. You're going to sign down there. And we move on. Now there's a questionnaire. This is like the SPQ of the rental property world. So same idea. Are you aware of? Are you aware of? Are you aware of? How many pages? Three pages. So 5 pages of disclosures. I mean, it's, hey, better to have it, not need it. I mean, this will protect you. This will mitigate your legal exposure. FHA discrimination. All right, fine. We put that advisory in there. 2 pages, very easy. The housing provider. Can we all just say lessor? I mean, let's just keep it simple. Okay, disclosure, another disclosure. Landlord. How'd that work its way back in? My gosh. So there's at least 4 different ways to call a lessor or a property owner in this. All right, that's it. You have all you need to do this form properly. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Thank you.